Pelicans in New Orleans today. We're going to talk about it, break it all down. Can the Bulls avoid a 3-game losing streak? We'll discuss it all and more right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bulls Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bulls news and content.
What's going on, Bulls fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bulls Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related. I'm the host here, Haize. More importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Bulls Central Pod on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that being said, it's game day. Chicago Bulls are taking on the New Orleans Pelicans tonight. Jesus, I haven't done a game day like that in a minute. Almost took me out the game. Chicago Bulls take on the New Orleans Pelicans today. McCollum's out in this game. Zion Williamson is questionable. Brandon Ingram may not play either in this game. So it's all going to be determined about, how that goes. But either way, the Bulls just got to take care of business. You don't want to go on a 3-game losing streak. Yes, the Atlanta Hawks are going to be without Trae Young for 4 weeks. It almost but solidifies that the Chicago Bulls will at least make that play-in tournament because there's enough separation between the Brooklyn Nets and the Chicago Bulls that even if the Brooklyn Nets do, go on a hot streak and pass up the Atlanta Hawks, even if they do catch the Bulls, the Hawks are probably going to be so far going down the depth chart that pretty much solidifies the Bulls are going to make the play-in tournament. Now, they can't take it easy, right? You still need every single win you could possibly get. You want to be in the right momentum and right mindset when you do go into that play-in tournament. But you guys know, if you've been watching me, I'm not going to be too heartbroken if the Bulls don't make it out that play-in tournament because a lot of your pick is kind of what this team needs right now. Now, this is a much weaker draft, right? I don't want to overlook that, but I won't be too mad if the Chicago Bulls don't end up making it out of the play-in tournament and then go into the draft lottery. So we'll see what ends up happening with that. But you gotta take care of business today. Got to come in, play tough. This is not a team that you can lax on either offensively or defensively. And you're going to see what you can bring. Now, if Zion and Brandon Ingram do play, this is still one of the better rebounding teams in the NBA, especially offensive rebounds. So, having Drum, having Vooch in this game is going to be really important as well. But then outside of that, the rotations. Really interested to see what the rotation looks like today if Zion does play, because it's like, are you gonna stick Alex Caruso on Zion the whole game? That's what you're gonna do. And then, but really, unless you start Drum and Vooch together, the Bulls don't have anybody with remotely the size to really slow down Zion Williamson, right? So, even Julian Phillips, who's one of the bigger players that we have off the bench right now, doesn't even remotely come close, right? He's a twig. So that's going to be interesting to watch for sure, how the Bulls, counteract that and how they play well and things like that. And I guess we'll see. We'll end up seeing what that's going to be like for the Bulls, man. I hope the Bulls can come and take care of business. That's ultimately really what I hope, right? Is that the Bulls take care of business, because otherwise it's going to be ugly, real ugly, like Reggie Mama ugly in this mug. Like, it's going to be mad ugly. So let's hope, though. And, listen, the Bulls, I will say this. I know we were really disappointed by the loss against the Celtics. But the Bulls did do some things that against most teams that aren't top 5 offensively and defensively are still going to win you the game. So let's hope that the Bulls come here and do those things tonight, right? They played the way they did against the Celtics for most of that game. You're going to be in more games than not. And so, the Bulls right now, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, they're 11-10 now since January, I believe. Maybe I'm off on that. I can't remember. No, that's definitely not since January. I don't know. There's some type of weird record, but overall, we're 50% since the month of December, a little bit over that. So let's hope that continues for the Bulls, and they just keep executing and playing the way that we know that this team can play. They just don't always play that way. So let's hope for it. But let's see how you guys are feeling about it today. I want the Bulls to play better. I want the Bulls to play better tonight and get a win. I think, Anthony, everybody wants to see the Bulls get a win. Every Bulls fan wants to see the Bulls get a win. Got a feeling W tonight. That one's from Rob. Let's hope so. Young Bino in the building says, I'm here for it. Zion questionable and Ingram is a game time decision. If Zion plays, who's going to guard him? God, Jesus, and the Holy Ghost. That's the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost. That's the only hope that we got. Watch the Lakers game today, and Nurkic actually looks a lot better than people give him credit for. He knows his role. He doesn't force anything, and he plays like a traditional center, in my opinion. Vooch. Well, Nurkic, I don't think anybody doubts Nurkic when he's healthy. The problem with Nurkic is that he just can't stay healthy to save his life. But when Nurkic is healthy, he's a top 15 center to top 10 center in the NBA. Like, that's just period. When Nurkic is fully healthy to go, he's a monster. He just can't stay healthy to save his goddamn life. So that's really the biggest thing with Nurkic. I think everybody understands the skill he has when he is healthy. What's up, Chicago Bulls Central fam? Let's hope we play the young guys tonight. I mean, listen, we almost gotta have to, bro. So let's if Billy Donovan doesn't play the young guys tonight, it's gonna be really interesting to see how he balances out that rotation. Bulls for Life says, "What's good, Haize? Let's get a win tonight. Need Drummond to bully Zion. Zion lose weight and would love to see the team get some tick. We'll see what happens with the team. I won't believe it until I see it that Billy Donovan is actually going to play him. Like, don't get me wrong, I love his skill set. I know exactly, you guys know when the Bulls, when there was even rumored that the Bulls could be bringing him over, I did a deep dive. I did video on him, almost like a draft prospects. And he can put the ball on the floor some. He's a former slam dunk champion over there. He's a monster. The bigger question though is that, you know, it is how much of that's going to translate to the NBA level, and then how much is Billy Donovan going to actually play him? Right, those are the things that are the biggest questions around the team, I think, for sure. Sydney in the building says, "I hope the Bulls play with a lot of heart this game, and after the last two losses, I'm also really excited to see OB play. That's if BD plays him. We'll see. We'll see." Anytime the Bulls face a big power forward, it worries me with no P. Will or Craig to defend. So no go any minutes. I do not trust him. Do not trust it. Alvarado and Thomas got suspended for 3 games. That makes sense. That makes sense. That eliminates that depth. Can't wait to see our competitive players play hard and compete in a way that makes us feel like we had a competitive effort. That's that wordplay. Rob in the building. Play the young guys and try to win and get some experience, whether we get into the playoffs or not. I mean, there's that mindset, right? I wouldn't mind that. Like, play your young guys, try to develop them. Like I said, I haven't actually dropped the episode. Me and Quentin actually did a members only video. I had to get the G League video out first. I've recorded a lot of content today, is basically what I'm saying. We did the daily episode, did the Windy City Bulls episode. I did an episode of NBA Central. We did Chicago Bears Central. We did Chicago Chi-Town Sports Central. Yeah, I've been working. Is the basically the gist of it. But so I got a members only video I'm going to get out probably sometime during the game. Me and Quentin actually talk about that a lot as well. But I agree. Play the young players and let the chips fall where they may. And, you know, if you do miss out on the playoffs, what are you really missing out? You weren't a threat to go deep right into the playoffs. And you get a lottery pick, you get more chances at it, and you've developed some chemistry with your young players. I do think that Ernalot Patim, Ayo Dosunmu, and Kobe White, as well as Julian and Julian and Dalen, can all build some, not all of them out at the same time, but you can build chemistry with those different combinations of those players. And I think they're definitely going to all be a big part of your roster next year. So do you think Batum signing Batum to NBA contract would help him get minutes? I mean, I would hope so, right? You need some shooting. He is a 40% shooter, taking almost 9 3-pointers per game. That's really good value, man, percentage-wise. Billy heard you say have to, and he wants me to tell you, watch this 6-man rotation. That is crazy, but very accurate. Very accurate. Shout out to Quentin the Gigolo in the building. Only expect garbage time minutes for OB. I mean, you have definitely reason to feel that way, right? I can't take away from you feeling that way. I just hope that it's different because we do need 3-point shooting, and OB is a legit 3-point threat, right? If he can't create separation or do anything like that at the NBA level yet, because he's still adjusting to the speed and athleticism at the NBA level, cool. But one thing he can do is come off screens and shoot the damn 3-ball. He just can't. So let's see what the Bulls bring today, man. I tell you what, I'd rather have OB out there than Javon Carter. That's for damn sure. Sad how Bull season is going. I mean, not really. I mean, to be honest with you, we're playing above 500 basketball since the month of December. I mean, it kind of is what it is. Like, the season started off sucky. And when you really look at the totality of it, Zach's down, out for the season, played, 25 games. Torrey Craig's missed 23 games so far, with another 20 probably coming on the way that he's going to miss. So it's not sad to me because I look at it the total picture, and we've dealt with a lot of shit. And to be where we are after still dealing with all the shit that we're dealing with and getting to see the ascension of Kobe White and Io to a degree as well, to me, it's not sad how the season's going, because the things that I was looking for the most in the season, clarity on the roster, I think is going to come this offseason. And B, I wanted to see the young players really take a step. And we've seen that from two of the young players who wanted to see it from the most. Even Dalen has taken a step, right? He's gone from being looking completely like a deer in the headlights to looking like a player that's now figuring out his way and has some things that he's doing well. Julian is a bright spot as well. So I mean, it's not sad to me. It could be a lot worse. We could be the Detroit Pistons with a lot of young talent that just ain't doing shit. How do you feel about tanking for Alex Sarr? No, it's not going to happen. Probably he 2 picks away from the lottery. I mean, listen, at this point in this draft, right? And I get it. Alex Sarr is a nice prospect in this draft. He's not worth tanking for. He's just not. Now, yes, we have the positional need, but it's so much variance in that. It'd be different if like the draft was like how the NFL does it, right? Where the worst record, if you got the worst record, you're getting this pick. At this point, with the lottery, it's not really worth it in my opinion. So tanking, I can see why the Bulls don't do that. I'm not a proponent of tanking in general anyway. So yeah, it just typically doesn't work. So no go drill, but team need some minutes before the season is over. No, they're getting minutes to develop. Listen, I'll tell you what Adama Sanogo's doing down in the G League is much better for his development than playing at the back end of the bench and getting maybe 8 minutes a game. Adama Sanogo has been, if you guys have been watching the G League, he's been able to work on his dribble. He's been able to have the offense go through him. He's been able to work on his conditioning. He's been able to be such a featured part and an anchor on both sides of the ball for that team that it's accelerating his development. Now, it's going to be all for naught if he's not at least in the rotation next year. But this year, I would say it's much better for rounding out the parts of Adama Sanogo's game that he just wouldn't be able to round out with what his role would be at on this team. That has been much better for his development to be in the G League this season. That's what I'll say for Sanogo. And as far as Drell, listen, here's the thing that I look at with Drell. He's somebody who was undrafted. He's always played in the G League. And to me, I'd rather right now, if it came down to either him or Bateem, I think Bateem has the higher ceiling. So I'd rather Bateem get it. Now, Drell is 6'9", legit shooter, 220 pounds. The Max Strus comparisons are real and legit. But, Max Strus had to go through the G League too. So, it is what it is. OB over Javon doesn't say much. I play my disabled cousin over Javon. No, it does say much because Javon Carter is still a vet in this league who has been on championship level teams. And for OB, a completely unknown prospect, well, not unknown, but unproven, no, it still says a lot that he would pass up and should pass up Javon Carter because he's a better three-point shooter. And I would even trust him defensively. If you look at what OB did defensively, well, he's not a shutdown defender at all, right? He is an active defender. So I won't say that it doesn't say much. Like, I know Javon's been absolute cheeks on this team, but in the totality of it, I won't say that it doesn't say much. Billy's going to call Bateem to the scorer's table and ask him to go pick up another pack of double bubble. That's hilarious. That's funny. Phillips has looked a lot better than I have expected in his first year. Facts, right? And Julian Phillips, and this is not to compare him in a way, but not to shit on Dalen, but Julian Phillips is much further along at this point than what Dalen Terry even is, I would say, right now, right? And he's had a whole year off season of being, in NBA competition. Julian Phillips, the thing is, and this is facts. Go and look at it. The only reason why Julian Phillips was not a first round pick to a near lottery considered pick is because his shot completely fell off in college. If his shot would have stayed what it was in Tennessee, and then even in the draft combine, he shot a ridiculous percentage in the draft combine. Julian Phillips is much like Bobby Portis, not in the way that they play, but in the sense that he could be a steal. Now, Bobby Portis was still a first-round pick, but Julian Phillips, the doubt around Julian is a lot because of the coaching and the team that he was on in college. Julian Phillips has tons of potential, and we'll see if the Bulls can end up capitalizing on it. Lil Famo says, you literally was just saying what I was thinking before I clicked. Zach is down. Pat not coming back. Tori's down. Javon is ass. I don't know, honestly. Yeah, it's been crazy. Preach to that, Haize, about not it being a sad season. Yeah, it's not, like, listen, like I said, if you would have just told me coming into the season, hey, everybody's fully healthy, the Bulls are going to be the 9th seed. I would be like, damn, that sucks. But considering this, everything that's actually happened and the positive storylines that we like I said, Kobe White's 24 years old. He's now made the Bulls' future a lot more brighter. If AK does pivot and go towards youth, best believe Kobe White's ascension is a big part of that, because now you've reset your clock in a lot of ways, right? The Bulls felt like they had to rush and put a team together around Zach because he was going into unrestricted free agency. He was what, 27 at that point in time, right? So much older. Now you have Kobe White under a cost control contract for 2 more seasons after this. Him and Iowa stepped up tremendously. Your draft picks over the last 2 years are starting to show more signs that they are going to be solid players, at least rotational players. We'll see what they can get from that. That brightens up that future considerably. And I know it sucks where we are right now. It sucks that the Bulls are fighting for a 9th seed, yet again fighting for playoff contention. It sucks. But when you look at the full picture of what this season has been, it could be a lot worse and has been a lot worse, to be honest with you. AK mix of veterans and young guys going forward may work, but Billy needs to play the young guys minutes to gain some experience. Phillips slowly has shown something. I agree with you. Completely agree with you there. Archangel says, did any of the Pelicans get suspended for the fighting on Friday? Yeah. Jose Alvarado and another player got suspended as well. So what's the deal with the new guy AK signed to the open 2-way? I was busy with my buddy baby reveal yesterday, so I missed on anything about this dude. Well, luckily, Bulls for Life, you have the #1 Bulls content creator in the world that has a whole entire video on Andrew Funk. So go and check that out. But to sum it up in just a quick thing to answer your question, he's a great catch and shoot 3-point shooter. He also understands when people are closing out on him. He's a solid enough passer, almost 4 assists per game, and he has basketball IQ. So you still want to develop it. He's still young, 23 years old, I believe. But he's not gonna. That signing wasn't for this season. That signing is, hey, we want this guy. We're gonna bring him into our system. We're gonna take a look at him in the offseason and see what we can develop into him. Dan Miles says, in theory, continuity, now called remain competitive, only works when all-stars play like all-stars, i.e. Vooch, Levine, and DeMar. The role players follow suit. No, that doesn't the only way the continuity works. That's not. Now, that's when if you're trying to contend, but continuity, the point of continuity is not just to have this championship level ceiling. Continuity is you have the same players that you're working with. You have a development staff that knows these guys inside and out. You have a coach, theoretically, that should know and trust them more and more as the season goes on. It's not just about all-stars playing at an all-star level. The point of continuity in all of sports, not just basketball, is that you are building, you are developing. The Bulls haven't done that. Now they have a player development staff. Let's hope that helps that continuity if you're going to have that and you can keep developing those players along. Man, I feel you. Like you can tell how for an NBA player will be based on their name alone. Andrew Funk ain't it? Nah, you can't tell nothing about no name. First of all, that's just silly. Obama, that's silly. But we'll see, man. We'll see. Dan Mile adding in says, in the youngins breakout, i.e. Paul, Io, Kobe, Julian Phillips, Jalen Terry. Did him and Jalen do the fusion dance? But here we are. I mean, but listen, we've seen growth from that. Look at Io's growth. Look at what Kobe's been able to turn into. So we've still benefited of it. We still got a lot to do. But team needs to get some minutes right now. Javon Carter, don't need them. Carter has been too inconsistent. We'll see. Damn you sad, Bobby, and I just pictured Julian punching Bateem and saying it's him or me. History repeats itself. That's crazy. But listen, I tell you what, Bateem is a lot more tougher than what fucking Mirotic was. Go and look like Bateem finished a game where his eye was leaking, like for possessions and didn't come out. First of all, the NBA would have stopped that anyway. They're gonna let you play with blood. Bateem's a tough motherfucker, bro. Kobe is my guy. I'm just saying all the injuries and bad play at the start of the season is sad right now, not the future. I mean, yeah, the play at the beginning of the season is really the thing hurting the Bulls the most. I'm glad we have been playing with heart this season. There were multiple games last season where everyone just played with so much boredom. It looked like they had given up. I'm genuinely excited. Hey. During timeouts, I like to look at the bench and see how some of the players are acting, and you could tell that G League players have chemistry with one another. That's a fact. That's definitely a fact. If I don't hear Stacey say "Let's get funky" when Funk hits a three, I'll be disappointed. That is so. I literally said the same thing when we did the Chi-Town Sports Central podcast today. I literally said the exact same thing. Yeah, OB is a warrior for real. Like, OB ain't no joke, bro. OB ain't no joke. In retrospect, the continuity thing will be something we see in our youth movement. They are developing chemistry. Exactly. Like, I mean, listen, Io and Kobe have great chemistry with each other, and that goes back to Io's rookie year when him and Kobe were both coming off the bench until Lonzo went down. They have really good chemistry between those two, and I'm excited to see it continue to develop for one. Definitely excited to see that develop. You throw in Julian Dalen in there. They have some chemistry coming off the bench with each other as well. Let's see how Patrick Williams incorporates back into it and stuff. And we'll see, man. We'll see. Julian Phillips got to put some weight on this offseason. Like, they need to get that man on several high protein shakes. And he need to be hitting the gym, because I tell you what, and even if he loses some of the athleticism, which I don't think he'll lose a whole hell of a lot, Julian Phillips with the length that he has, the wingspan and stuff like that, he can be an absolute monster, but he needs to put on some weight, bro. He definitely needs to put on some weight. Do you think the European League translates well in the NBA? Here's what I'll say, Sydney. It's not one for one at all, because the players are a lot quicker here. But the thing with the EuroLeague, when you see players come over from EuroLeague that are able to find success, is because Europeans still teach the fundamentals. So they have the high basketball IQ coming in. And so even when they don't necessarily have the athleticism to match up with NBA players, they default on that IQ, and it really does help them a lot. Really helps them a lot. The team with the mask turns into fucking Batman on the court. That's hilarious. Fusion. Ha! By the way, have y'all been watching the Avatar live action on Netflix? Amazing. It's not as good as the anime, but I also think, like, we look back at the Avatar anime as like this perfect thing, and it had some flaws too. And they changed very little things with this live action Avatar, but I gotta say, it's one of the best like, they've been killing it with the live action adaptations this year. Last year Netflix with One Punch and now Avatar, Netflix is doing the thing with live action, man. I really like it. Zion need to put Julian onto his. Nobody needs to be. Julian's diet is beignets and never mind. Can't say what I was gonna say. Yeah, I'm just gonna leave that there. Y'all figure it out. The Bulls are truly building a culture of players who can play for one another. Now we just need everyone to develop that aggressive killer mentality when it comes to how we act towards other teams. Completely agree with you there, Quentin. I have no qualms with anything you just said there, brother. Dalen's defense has been solid. He's getting more calls or no calls from refs on defense. It shows his growth on that side of the ball. Listen, Dalen Terry, I'm telling you guys, Dalen Terry has all the making of one of those high energy defensive players. I don't know how his offensive game is going to round out. I don't know. It can really go a lot of different ways right now. The shot motion looks a lot better. He just needs to work on some things. But defensively, and the way that his intelligence in transition, I'm telling you, Dalen Terry, I will not be surprised if he leads the NBA at one point in fast breaks created off turnovers, meaning turnovers that he forces, that he creates fast break opportunities for his team. I wouldn't be surprised with that at all. I watched the first 2 episodes of live action Avatar, and it's hard as fuck. Bro, like, I came in ready to hate it. Same thing with One Punch. I came in with One Punch ready to completely obliterate it. And by the end of the second episode, I was like, I'm going to shut the fuck up. Same thing with Avatar. That first, I'll say this, the first like 15 minutes of the first episode, I was like, this pace is a little bit slow. I don't know if I'm going to like this. By the end of like this, by halfway through the second episode, I'm like, all right, bet. Let me shut the hell up. If Phillips can gain the respect that Dalen gets ASAP from the refs, he'll make a small jump next year. Well, I think Phillips can make a considerable jump next year. I think he's a gym rat. He's going to be like people, even his when they had his former college coach or his high school coach over on CHGO, he was like, hey, listen, Julian does nothing but basketball. Like, that's what Julian, he's not one of these guys who's playing video games. He's not one of these guys in the offseason that's dicking around. All he does is basketball. And if that's true, that puts him in kind of the same place as Io. And I think he's going to hit whatever ceiling he has. You're going to be able to bet on that because of what he can be. Is this weird to say that I may be canceled for saying this? I'd rather see DeMar stay, Vooch and Zach go, unless Vooch plays like he played in the first half against the Celtics. I mean, listen, to me, here's what I'll say to this. And you're not crazy. Everybody's you're fine to have your opinion. My outtake on it is this. DeMar DeRozan is going to want at least $20 million to come back here. And to me, that would be fine if the Bulls were a team that were making playoff runs and looked like they were getting close to getting to the Eastern Conference. You're a ninth seed. You have no business paying a 34, almost 35-year-old player $20+ million when you're fighting and competing for a ninth seed. Yeah, you're taking a step back. I'm not saying that the Bulls are automatically this better team when if DeMar leaves. Not what I'm saying at all. But the benefit in having and opening up those opportunities for more players, I think is worth it, even if you take a step back to take a longer step forward. Now, as far as Vooch is going to be here. Ain't nobody taking that contract unless the Bulls are giving up a first-round pick for it. And Zach, we'll see what happens with Zach. I really don't know. I don't think they're going to be able to move him in the offseason. I think it's going to go back down to a trade deadline thing next season. London says, do you think Kobe only got a chance to develop as a basketball player and what he is today because Ball got hurt and Zach's injuries? No. Kobe's been literally improving for the last 3 years. The first year when Lonzo was here, that 9-game stretch, we win 2 of those games strictly because of the defense that Kobe White played down the stretches of those games. I think that taught him, bam, I need to be able to give effort defensively like I give offensively. Second year that he was coming off the bench, those offensive opportunities got taken away from him a little bit more. He shot the ball okay, but he, again, took another step defensively, understood how to get other players the ball. His passing, his ball handling became better. So no, I actually think him going to the bench helped his development, because had we not signed DeMar, had we not signed Lonzo, Kobe would have still been relied on. And I'm not saying he eventually would have hit it, but because those opportunities scoring wise had to be taken away from him, I think he realized, okay, I'm only going to shoot the ball 8 times a game now rather than 12 like I would like to. Let me go out here and play defense. So I think that helped the mindset and mentality of Kobe White. I also think watching from the bench helped the game slow down to him. And I think that all we benefit all from it now. Is Lonzo Ball's contract done this offseason? No. We have 1 full season left on Lonzo's contract. That's next season. That's the last year on this deal is next season. They learned their lesson after the live action Death Note. Man, that live action Death Note, bro, was atrocious. Atrocious. Signing DeRozan would be a terrible idea after all the offers, inconsistency with points at the mid-range, bad defender with no perimeter game. Zach at least makes defense respect whole court, helps Kobe. I mean, yeah. I think he helps Kobe too, is what DeMar does as far as like DeMar being a calming factor. When the Bulls can't get a bucket, DeMar can find one, right? But I definitely agree with your points as well. Yo, try One Piece. I recommend the arc when the Straw Hats revived. Oh yeah, listen, I already know One Piece. Like that's. But all right, y'all, we're gonna go ahead. We got to pay some bills around here. We're gonna go and play ad from our sponsor. On the other side of that, we're gonna keep talking some shit. Most of you know, anyone can find anything on the internet, including your full legal name and personal email, your home address, phone number, and even your relatives. For me, personally, I never took this kind of stuff seriously, that people can take my personal data and use it for their own financial gain. Well, in 2019, I got my identity stolen, including my social security number and credit card information, and it was a total nightmare getting it all sorted out. From recouping loans that were taken out in my name and shopping sprees on my credit card, there are some really bad people out there, and it's sad to say, but it's true. Do a Google search for your personal information or someone you know and see if a people search site shows up. The information is easily accessible because of data brokers who profit by selling your information to robocallers, telemarketers, spammers, and anyone else that wants to learn more about you. And so for me, protecting my and my family's personal data and information is at the utmost importance because of the terrible experience I had 4 years ago. That's why I'm excited to tell you about today's sponsor, Aura. Aura will identify data brokers that are exposing your information and automatically submit opt-out requests on your behalf. They will even opt out of junk mail and telemarketing lists. Aura also monitors your emails and passwords to see if they were involved in any data breach and exposed on the dark web. Aura's app also features VPN password manager, real-time credit card and identity theft monitoring, internet parental controls, and protects your device from malware. Aura has almost every internet safety tool you'll ever need, all inside one app, which is what makes it so amazing, so that you don't have to use multiple platforms and sites to protect yourself. Let Aura do the hard work, keeping you safe online. And if you sign up right now, Aura will give you a 2-week free trial with my link below. You'll be shocked at how much your private information Aura finds exposed over 2 weeks. I was shocked at how much my information Aura was able to find when I was using the app. Go to aura.com/CBC to start your free trial. Also linked in the description, or you can scan the QR code here. Now back to the video. Yeah. All right. With that said, we're going to get right back into it. Let's talk Bulls. Says, but I assume it's the same things that helped Kobe grow his hair back. So that's crazy. That's crazy. Imagine a live action Demon Slayer. That shit would be hard to see. Demon Slayer live action, though, like, to me, the Demon Slayer is so much about, like, those voice actors gave such great performances. Like, you got to find the right actors to do it and bring that home, man. But anyway, we're here to talk basketball. You're not talking about Demon Slayer. Ads making me paranoid. Should I even be on this live stream? Yes. Go ahead and protect yourself. What are we talking about? Haize, you sound so professional. Do I? I hate my voice. So I literally walked away. I timed it because I know how long the ad's 2 minutes and 5 seconds. So I hate hearing my own voice. I literally walked away. I don't listen to my own voice. So there you go on that one. Business Roosevelt has entered the chat. That's crazy. Not Business Roosevelt. No, Petty Roosevelt is still listen. Petty Roosevelt is the real me. So it is what it is. It comes down to. Let's see if we got the starting lineups out there. Doubt it. Nope, no starting lineups yet. But yeah, so I'm gonna throw this to you guys. I want to know how you guys feel. So, as it stands right now, from what we know this offseason, do you want to see the Bulls rely more on the young players, even if it means a rough season next year? Do you want to see the Bulls do everything they can to maybe make it in the playoffs next year? Even if that means giving up some future assets, maybe a draft pick, this year's draft, or whatever else it is. Like, where do you sit right now with what do you want to see this team from? I go back and forth, right? I want to see a competitive team, absolutely. But I also want to see a team that can sustain being competitive. And to me, the only way that you sustain that is by drafting well, and your young players that you've drafted are the main parts of your team. Yeah, you can add in some veterans here and there. Maybe after you get a nice foundation and see, hey, we got these 4 young players, we're a playoff team. Maybe you add a veteran to that at that point. But that's kind of where I want to see the team go right now. That's personally where I want to see them go. But hey, we'll see it. Dalen has some traits that Lonzo has, obviously nowhere close yet, but the passing and transition from defense to offense breaks are somewhat similar. Yeah, in that sense, right? But I think that they're different in the fact that Lonzo Ball is just an amazing, intelligent basketball player. And, whatever happens with his NBA career, I hope he's able to make a comeback, things like that. But if he can't, I really think that Lonzo Ball will be an amazing, amazing basketball coach. I just do. His IQ is just that great. Even outside of that, and that is why you see some people that do have hopes that whenever Lonzo does come back, he's still going to find a way to have an impact because he is such a highly intelligent basketball player. So, but I agree. There are some overlaps there for sure. Play the young guys. Look at how OKC has set their future. If you can build on young talent, you can be championship contenders for years to come. Definitely agree with you there. Bulls for life. I'd rather see a rough season next season to take a step back in order to take 3 steps forward. Completely agree with you there. Hokage Obama says, I'm like Mike guy. I want to see power and youth blossom. Feel you there. Next year, that may not care as much about getting into the playoffs to keep the first round pick. We'll see. That's another thing. That is another thing. Wait, did you just ask if we want to give up our draft pick this year when we finally have one again? Hell, no. I said if it meant adding talent, if you have to give up a draft pick to add a really good vet talent to the team. And by vet, I don't mean somebody like in their 30s, but I mean like a 25, 26-year-old stud. If somebody was willing to do that, what would you do then? That's more so what I meant by that. I'm sorry if I didn't explain that well, Archangel. I want a star player with a strong attitude who's passionate about the history for Chicago Bulls and plays with that heart. Benji, there's nobody who cares. Nobody cares about the history of the Chicago Bulls anymore because you got to keep in mind the history that most these new players come in seeing isn't great. They don't look at it like that. Like these young people are detached from MJ, much less the Chicago Bulls history as a whole. You're not going to get anybody who comes in and be like, "Oh my God, I'm in the house that MJ." No, they're going to come here and say, "Hey, ain't this where Dwayne Wade dunked on Kurt Heinrich at?" Yeah, right there. Oh, okay, cool. I just want to see this team actually progress. I want to see our young guys develop, and I want our front office to move our older guys for future assets. Yes, I know this ain't 2K, but a motherfucker can't hope. I mean, I don't think you're getting much future assets for our old guys, but I feel you, man. I want to have a full season of knowing what the young guys have the potential to be. Surround them with pieces that play to their strengths. I do not want continuity 4.0. I feel you there, DD. Feel you. Send Billy to the front office and hire Coach Lonzo Ball. That's not going to happen, but hey. Would OKC have built what they have now with Billy as a coach? So yeah, because they started building it while Billy was there. Keep in mind, Billy was there at the start of what OKC has going on right now. He had Shea, right? So yes, they still would have had this. They still would have had those assets. Billy Donovan isn't a coach that can't develop, but he is a player. He is a coach that will rely on vets if you have them on your team. I honestly think, and I'm not advocating for this, but I honestly do think, and I'm not a Billy Donovan. I don't like Billy Donovan, but I honestly think if AK and Eversley had never traded for Vooch, brought in DeMar, still maybe signed Lonzo because, again, he was young. He fit that timeline. I do think that he would have done a better job at developing. I think this Billy is somebody that once he has a veteran that he can depend on, he's going to ride that shit to the ground, man. Want to see them go young, trade DeMar, Vooch. Well, we can't trade DeMar. Vooch, Lonzo, Zach Caruso, drum for picks. Yeah, JK, that's just not realistic, bro. Come on. What are we doing here? I did ask you what you wanted to see. So, I mean, hey, you have every right to say that, but what are we doing, man? You can't go all young. You have to have 3 or 4 veterans that help mentor or set culture. I won't say there's necessarily 3 or 4, but you do want to have some key vets at key positions and that have the respect of the locker room for sure. London says, shout out to Didi. That's my fiance in real life. Real life? Oh, for real? Shout out to y'all. A family that watches Chicago Bulls Central together is a family that will stay together. I can promise you that. I want to see Kobe and Levine put up 75 combined. I want to see Patty become a dynamic and reliable power forward. And look at the roster on paper and flat out don't understand why it couldn't work. Okay. I want to see Javon Carter off this fucking team. Listen, absolutely right there with you. Absolutely 100% with you right there. Listen, I'd be willing to give up a future second round pick if a team would just take on Javon Carter's contract. Like, just take it. Please, just take it. Listen to everyone's comment. It sounds like most of us want continuity with the regard of the young guys, but not with the old guys, which makes sense. It does make a lot of sense. We'll see if they give it to us, man. Like, look, listen, continuity 4.0 is definitely a possibility. Now, I will say it's less likely of a possibility considering how close we are to the luxury tax, but it's still definitely a real possibility. That's what ends up happening. Now, if that does happen this offseason, it's going to be a petty offseason. It's going to be a petty offseason. It's going to be a petty summer. It's going to be a petty summer. Going to be a petty summer. So we'll see. We'll see. I want to be competitive. I mean, we are competitive. If the Bulls go into this draft and pick up a young big, do you think Vooch would be willing to take a bench role and mentor role forever it is in order to set up a young big for future success? Well, I think setting up a young big for future success means that they're going to come off the bench first. I don't think, look at young bigs in the league. They foul a lot, right, which could affect confidence. I think it's a good role. Vooch is still going to be the starting center. I don't care who we draft next season. And then you're going to be able to bring that young big up along and organically be able to build up their skills. That's what I would like to see. Let's workshop plans to get rid of Javon. That's crazy. Definitely they should look at a big in the draft next year. I mean, listen, there's not a lot of them though, right? So there are some in the draft. Of course, SARS is the one, but he's probably going top 3. So the Bulls would have to get there. Maybe he can fall to 4, depending on some mocks you look at. But Filipowski is definitely one that I've been looking at. You guys know I've talked about him for a while. That's the center from Duke, legit 7-footer, 250 pounds. He's somebody I definitely look at. And also look at Tyler Smith. Now, Tyler Smith, he's in the G League. I think the Unite he plays with right now. Now, he's not projected to necessarily be a center. He's more of a power forward. He's 6'11", 215 pounds, but he is somebody that I do think can develop into that type of center role if he can put on some weight. So even then, still another power forward that maybe you can look at there. So there's definitely some routes they can go. It's just you don't have the talent in this draft that projects to be superstars. Like, you have some really good, solid role players to starters in this draft, and sometimes those are the best ones to get, right? Kyle is the one guy center I like. I'm not a huge fan of Klingon giving me very much to beat vibes. Well, that's why. See, Klingon is projected to go in the second round. So even then, I don't think the Bulls draft him because that would be a huge reach from where we're going to be at. Now, if we had a second round pick, maybe you can make that. But even then, like, if we were going to go that route, to me, Khalil White in the second round is the one that I would like to go to. Much like the Bulls traded into the second round to get Julian Phillips, I would not be surprised if a team, I'm not saying it's going to be the Bulls, trade if once the second round starts, and if he's still there, do not be surprised if a team gives up multiple seconds to move up to get Khalil Ware. Khalil Ware has tons of potential. He's just unproven right now, but he has tons and tons and tons of potential. He's just extremely raw, extremely raw. Next year, play Vooch, and if DeMar is back, less minutes and use them efficiently and play the young guys. At worst case, we keep our first round pick. We'll see. We'll see. Somebody said the starters out. Let's take a look at the starters tonight. Starters, the same exact ones: Kobe, Ayo, DeMar, Alex Caruso at the 4, and Nikola Vucevic as your starting centers. So there you guys go. Let's see. Did the Pelicans announce who is playing for them yet? Let's see. Brandon Ingram and Zion are playing in tonight's game. So there you guys go. CJ McCollum is out. Ingram and Zion are in for tonight's game. It's about to be a long night, y'all. About to be a long night. Alex Caruso is guarding Zion. That's about to be a long night. Long night. Ringside Perspective says, met Marko Simonovic in London last month. He plays for Besiktas. We should have kept him. No, I mean, listen, I'm sorry. No, he was bad, bro. Like, he was bad. Yeah, the biggest thing that would disgust me beyond all reason would be gutting the young core and our trade picks to bring in some veteran. Please, God, no. I feel you there. Not gonna lie, I prefer to have Ayo come off the bench, but who would start over him? Exactly. That's where exactly at this point you got to start him. I like to see the Bulls keep and use their picks for a 4-year college NBA player and roll with it. I mean, that's definitely a possibility. Definitely a possibility. You think Acme trying to rebuild like the Knicks instead of bottoming out and falling behind years in comparison to these teams who would have a few younger prospects? I mean, I think it's something similar, right? Especially now that you have Kobe there. I think it's definitely gonna help him try to stay young, right? He's not gonna completely bottom up, but joking, as much shit as I talk about Vooch, his scoring rebounding is great. He just fumbled that one pass from Kobe. LOL. Kobe actually also beamed that in damn near to dude's head. Like, let's be clear here, man. It's Jackie's Truth, by the way. I know who it is because I know from your Avi. That's why it took me a second because I almost just went to Jackie's Truth, but I'm like, let me actually read it. Clearly, I want to respect your pronouns, and clearly, you're now ringside perspective, so I want to respect your pronouns. No, it is what it is, man. Don't say we didn't involve here. Let's go, Chicago Bulls from Charles. Absolutely, fam. But yeah, so let's hope the Bulls can get this. This is going to be interesting. Brandon Ingram and Zion are playing. Yeah, this is about to be an interesting game. Let's see how frustrated I am by halftime. Man, I hope the Bulls can get a win. Let's avoid a 3-game losing streak by any means necessary. Let's go out here and get this dub, and let's hope that can happen, man. How deeply is our pick protected next year? Top 10? Yeah, I think it's top 10 protected. Something wrong with me that I'm not excited for this game? I mean, no, the way the season is gone, I can't blame you. Can't blame you. But all right, y'all. I love you guys, man. We're gonna go ahead and end the live stream. I will be back at the halftime hangout. Let's hope we're talking about a Bulls good first half at that point in time. Make sure you guys are following the show at Bulls Central Pod. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns. BullsCentralPod@gmail.com. Lastly, if you want to leave a text message and or voicemail, number to do so, 773-270-2799. We are the number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related, thanks to you guys. And like I like to end everything on, go Bulls. Love you guys. See red if you can, y'all.